Hi, welcome. This is my video for the gear assignment. The gear that I'll be talking about today is the hatchet because I find that it's one of my personal favorites and it's also more practical and easier to talk about that I think. So to start off, I like to say that a hatchet is basically just a smaller version of an axe, but doesn't mean it's less durable. I like to use a hatchet because it's smaller than an axe, so you don't have to like weigh around a big heavy axe, and it's easier and it's smaller, so it's easier to compact and it's easy to handle. First off, I like to say that for a hatchet, there's multiple uses to it. Most of them are very easy to use and common come by. First off, I like to say there's one of the things you can use is cutting down trees or anything like that. It might be a little harder because of the smaller size of the hatchet, but it still would be effective. So you can cut down smaller trees, bushes. You can work on bigger trees, but it might take longer. And then once you have that, you can start chopping up into firewood. And then once you have firewood, you can start chopping them, like splitting them, and you can start splitting your individual logs into kindling or chop them up into smaller pieces for kindling, so it's easier to start your fire and it could help you in a camping situation. Another thing you can use a hatchet for within creating kindling is also creating tinder, which is basically just shaving off some wood to help ignite your fire. Another thing on the subject of wood, you can use a hatchet as cutting down trees or anything like that, and creating longer poles or sticks to help aid the build of your shelter, like or a lean-to, or you can chop down a tree and use it as for like a triangle teepee thing or triangle tent. Another thing a hatchet is good for is trimming tree branches. So all the excess little tiny branches you just want to get off. It's easy for cutting those off. Another thing for the hatchet to use, it's easy, is for a tent situation, you normally have stakes going into the ground. Using the back of the hatchet, I find is very easy to nail those stakes in the ground, and it'll make it stronger, and it's a lot faster to do that instead of trying to find a rock or use your hand. Another thing is that if you're camping in the winter time when there's snow and ice and overnight, your shelter has snow or ice on it. A hatchet is a perfect way of getting rid of that ice by chopping it up or smashing it with the back of the hatchet. You can also use the hatchet if you don't have a shovel or anything like that as a shovel to dig yourself out or dig a little pocket for into the snow. I find it's very easy to do that. Another thing is that you can use a hatchet, like the metal part of it, to start a fire. So you can scrape it along a piece of flint, and it'll start. And it's like flint and steel, and it's easy to start a fire that way in a survival situation. Another thing that hatchets are good for is that it's an axe, so it has a sharp edge. So it's also good for hunting or anything like that for big game or small game. I don't know how effective it is, but it's something you can use with it. So, and then once, if you are successful or with any trapping situations, you can use the hatchet to set snares or drive earth winches into the ground to try and catch some prey. Um, and once you actually caught the prey, the hatchet is a great way of cleaning a kill. So basically, taking out the intestines and all the guts and just cutting off the skin and getting some meat out there so you have something to eat for dinner. And it's also a hatchet. The metal part of it is also very reflective. So in case of an emergency situation, you can use the metal as a reflective lens, so you can signal SOS to rescue anything in an emergency situation. And you can also use a hatchet because it's basically like a small axe. It has a sharp blade. You can also use a hatchet as a self-defense mechanism. I find this very useful, and because it has a blunt edge and a sharp edge, so you have two weapons to defend yourself against animals or if someone tries to attack you while you're in the woods. So I find that a hatchet is very useful because of these reasons, and also I find that hatchets, also like knives, are used for carving. So in case you're really bored, or if you've done all your chores for the day while you're in the campsite, you can use the hatchet and find the stick and like start carving into something or shaping something. Or if you want to, say, go hunting with, and you don't have any like arrows or guns or anything like that, you have the hatchet. You can sharpen the edge of a stick and make it into a spear. That's another way to use a hatchet for hunting, and it'll be very easy for you. Thank you, and this is my video.